This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I want to tell you about our newest sponsor, Team Top Cat Sales. Are you looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or corporation? Look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan QB John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the highest quality and best service. Get your organization, school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going to topcatteamsales.com. That's topcatteamsales.com. Also, follow Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Back in the saddle, back at the Sterling Heights studios. Welcome, everybody, to another episode on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, and obviously looking frustrated, cousin of mine, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz? You seem like you got a bone to pick with people.
I hate everybody. Look, this is what we're doing today. We're going to sit there and put you in the uncomfortable position to having to pick between this or that. It's going to make you want to vomit all over yourself. I've got 3 great questions for the schmuck who's sitting right across from me right now, and we're just going to kick this off, all right, with your troublesome Tigers. I'm so upset with Tiger fans right now. I can't stand any of you. I wish all of you would just go near a cliff, just jump off. All of you, just jump off.
You're a dick.
Yes, I don't care. I'm tired of all of you. I'm tired of all this BS with Firebrad Ausmus. Oh, what about this? What about that? Let's trade everybody. I've spent the last 2 or 3 days on Twitter sitting there talking to all of you tards, trying to talk you down off of the cliff. Now I just want to push you all. I want to kick you right in the middle of your back and let you all fall down and just die.
Okay.
Because I can't handle this. No, you sit there and you shut up, all right? You let me go. And then if you want, because I've got multiple points to make here, you just take notes and then we can go back and discuss all of your notes. Yes, I know it is. All right, so here's the deal. Let's rewind a little bit. So your Tigers, totally bipolar, and they're sucking up the season. They look like they're working the corner of 8 Mile and Woodward. That's how hard they're sucking, all right? Next thing you know, they win 9 out of 11. You're no peeps from nobody. Nobody's calling for Brad Ausmus' job. Nobody. That guy sits there, throws his sweater down over the home plate, sits there, almost pile drives a referee or an umpire right there on home plate. Everything's good to go. Everything's great. They sit there, they go out west, they put Suckhold, that's his new name, the New Zealand kid, in from the bullpen. That guy's getting shelled in Oakland. Put him in against the Angels. He's getting shelled against the Angels. Guess who's not pitching and who's not getting shelled? It's not Brad Ausmus. It really isn't. I got sucked into that Verlander game the other night. Verlander was rocking and rolling. That offense could not get hot to save their life at all. Couldn't do anything. It was like they were up there swinging icicles. That's how cold they were. All right? Verlander's rocking and rolling, though. Ausmus is like, you know what? Let me go check this guy. Let me go talk to him. Let me see what's going on. He says, hey, where you at? How you feeling? He was at like 104, 105, maybe 108 pitches at the very most. At the very most. Mind you, the guy's last 3 or 4 starts, he's gone almost to 120 pitches. So I don't want to hear the pitch count was too high. Pitch count wasn't too high. Ausmus goes out there and says, hey, what do you want to do? How you feeling? He says, I want the ball. Give it to me. I'm going to get us out of this. He's your ace. He's your stud. He's the guy that this starting rotation is built around. He's your guy. He's at 100 and whatever pitches. It's not too much. He goes out there and he self-destructs. On top of that, James McCann makes an error. On top of that, the fielding can't get it done, and they can't swing a baseball bat to get any runs across home plate. So that's not Ausmus' fault. I don't want to hear how it's Ausmus' fault. He didn't do anything there. It wasn't his fault. You're going to believe your guy. If you have ever played on a team and you've had to make a decision, if you've ever had to make that decision, you look at your guy and you say, hey, who wants it? And the guy who says he wants it, you go with him. Whether it works or not, you go with him because he believes enough in himself and you believe in him. And that's exactly what Ausmus did. Now you follow that up with the disaster that was Anibal Sanchez. He's atrocious. Somebody needs to take a baseball bat and smack him in the back and send him down to the minors for some conditioning, for some work, because all of a sudden he has a mysterious back injury. That's what needs to happen there. Ausmus can't help that. Ausmus can't help that the bullpen is absolutely atrocious right now. Mark Lowe's a disaster. Suckhold's awful. You can't do anything about that. That's not Ausmus's problem. It absolutely isn't. And then I've got to wake up this morning and I've got to see that you rile up the troops. You want to trade everybody. Everybody. I want to know what the hell you can get for a 33-year-old first baseman who's making $30 million for the next 8 seasons. There's not a whole lot out there, bro, because not a lot of teams got money like that. Even if you can find somebody to fit 3/4 of that bill. You want to trade Victor Martinez, who wants a 37-year-old DH who has bum knees and can't wheel around first. He's making $18 million. You want to trade Justin Upton, the AL leader in strikeouts. You want to trade him. You know how much he makes? He makes over $22 million. Who wants that guy? Answer, nobody. Nobody wants that guy. All right, you got Anibal Sanchez, who, like I said, has to go down to the minors, has to get some confidence, has to work on something. They've got to fake an injury in order to get this guy righted. That's the only way that you're going to be able to save him. He's making anywhere from $16 to $18 million for like the next 3 seasons. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. The 2 pieces you have that anybody wants, that's a JD Martinez, who you're not getting rid of, and that's a Nick Castellanos, who you're not getting rid of. Ian Kinsler, he ain't going nowhere. Nobody wants him. He's a second baseman who's in the twilight of his career. Jose Iglesias is a hot dog. Nobody wants that headache. Why do you think Boston threw him at you? Like, here, go ahead. And all the Tiger fans were like, oh my God, he's a shining star. Look at this guy. He's so sweet. It's great. You want to trade Cameron Maybin? That's another guy that you're looking to possibly build around in the future. What do you have? You have absolutely nothing. Nothing. You've got nothing. You have nothing to trade. This team is not that bad off right now. 3.5 weeks ago, we sat there and we were 8 games back, maybe 9 games back. Next thing you know, they cut it down to 4, maybe 5 games. They cut it in half. They're still in this. They're still in this race. When I sit there and I say, hey, does Kansas City strike the fear of God in you? Do you realize how beat up they are and how half their team's on the disabled list right now?
Mike Moustakas,
right,
wow, right?
Their starting third baseman has no knee left because he blew his ACL out. Chicago was the hottest team last week. They've dropped 8 in a row. Come on. They can't seem to get a win. On top of it, does Cleveland scare you? Really, does Cleveland? Cleveland's a dumpster fire. And I'm not talking about the team. I'm talking about the damn city. Cleveland's an absolute crap hole. On top of that, their team, absolutely garbage. And do the Twins scare you? The Twins are learning how to sit there and round first base right now. Honestly, it's like a peewee baseball team is what you got going on there.
Well, you know who scares me?
Who?
The Detroit Tigers scare me.
Yes, because they can't get out of their own way. And it's not Ausmus's fault. And you can't trade anybody to get anybody in here. The pieces you want to trade away, the guys who sit there and make multiple millions of dollars, nobody wants them. Little known secret, nobody wants those guys. And you got your slapsticks down in Toledo sitting there tweeting me all morning. Nobody wants them. If you want to talk about trading guys, any of you want to talk about trading guys, we can have this conversation about who you want to trade. I don't care. Hit me up on Twitter. Adam R. STROZ. Hit me up. But if you're going to do it, tell me who you want to trade and who's willing to pick up these contracts. So do some research. Don't tell me that you just want to blow up the whole damn thing because it's not going to happen. I want you to sit there and do some work. Look at who can take on these big contracts and who can fit the bill on these. And if you want to trade Miguel Cabrera because he's probably the best piece you have who could get you a little bit of a haul, now ask yourself, is Mr. I going to trade his most coveted player, a guy who's still a top 5 hitter in the league? Because the answer is no. He loves that guy. He's not going anywhere. And you've seen when Illich loves a guy, that guy can do absolutely no wrong. I don't care if he came in drunk off 3 bottles of scotch in the middle of Motor City Casino. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. Mr. I is going to defend that guy, and he's going to sit there and he's going to wear that Old English D. You may respond.
Okay, thank you. Ooh, you went in almost 9 minutes. That was good. I appreciate that. Yeah, you needed to vent a little bit. I'm sure you checked out our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Obviously, you're upset. You're frustrated because you've seen how the fans react when you go out to Oakland, a team that's, even with winning 2 out of 3 versus the Tigers, still 6 to 7 games under 500. That's an awful team. Then you see the destruction that the Angels put on the Tigers. You know, the Tigers actually fought back, and again, you put out low and you lose. So the Tiger fans are angry. You jumped ahead based on the fact that I said sell. The first thing is, I think we're all at ground level in that nobody believes that the Tigers are thinking about potentially changing up the flow. I think the front office right now is looking at the team and going, let's ride it out. They're taking the stance of, hey, let's be patient. And right now, it's not like this is a situation where you're playing good baseball. When the Tigers are having these losing streaks, they're playing horribly. The starting pitchers can't get out of the 5th inning. You're having a situation where the offense shows up and you're giving up 8-9 runs a game. So the first step is...
Or in the fact of Tuesday, you gave up 9 runs in the first 3 innings, and then you give up 11. You're right. You're absolutely right. The team is not sitting there hitting their stride together. You've got one doing one thing, and the other is doing something totally different and opposite, and it's hurting the team.
So when people say sell, the first thing they're answering the question to is, what are we going to do to fix this team? And obviously, the first thing that people come to mind and the first thing that people want to tweet about is to make moves. Make some moves. Send Sanchez or Pelfrey to the bullpen. Do something different. Call up a starter that can actually go out there and get outs, that can go out there and eat up 6 to 7 innings, not give up 5 runs in the first inning, not put your team in a hole. So the first thing that people are saying is make some moves that are actually going to work. Now, to your point about Ausmus, look, he came back, and it doesn't look like the team is playing all that great. When Gene Lamont was there, it just looked to me, just from the eye test, that the team looked a lot more calm and it looked a lot more organized and professional.
When Gino was there?
Yeah.
Are you serious right now?
Didn't they look a little bit better to you than to me?
No, not absolutely not. What you had was a guy like Fulmer go out there and pitch his ass off. That's what you had. That's exactly what you had. Otherwise, no, absolutely not. Dude, Gene Lamont is atrocious. Gene Lamont is atrocious. And I don't want to hear about how these guys don't play for Ausmus. That was so easy for this team to roll over on Tuesday night and just sit there, wave the white flag. You were down 9-2, I think, in the 4th inning. You claw back to tie it up at 9-9. You can't help it that your bullpen goes out there and basically plays slow pitch softball. You can't help that. That's not on you. These guys clawed their way back for Ausmus for that team.
How do you answer the question then that it just seems like when Brad Ausmus makes a decision, it blows up in his face each and every time? It just seems like because he's the one making the decision, it doesn't work out. And now you said you're the one that said it's not Ausmus's fault. Okay, here's a nuanced situation. I don't know if you picked up on it. It was talked about, bantered about on the radio, and it was a fair point. You had the game versus Oakland. You had a situation where the Tigers were coming back, and it was a situation where the heart of the order was up. So Bob Melvin goes out there, and he puts his closer in the 8th inning. Goes out there, mauls the heart of the lineup down, puts in another guy in the 9th inning to face the bottom scrubs of the Tigers, and they go on and win the series. Now, you look at that juxtaposed to when his Ausmus veered from the archaic formula of, I got my 7th inning guy, I got my setup guy in the 8th, I use my closer in the 9th. Never. He doesn't veer from his old ass adage of, hey, I'm going to use this formula, use these guys in certain spots. It hasn't worked. You bring up Lowe in situations where you feel like you need him, it doesn't work. You bring up Wilson, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. K-Rod's been okay. He's used him rather effectively. But what we're seeing and what people are looking at is Brad Ausmus, when he makes decisions, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like they're panning out. Can you name a decision that he's made where you go, Brad Ausmus made a move, and because of that move, the Tigers were effective? No, it just seems like when he's there, he's an okay, all right manager, as his record reflects. He's going to win you half the games. He's going to lose you half the games. So big picture-wise, people aren't going like, hey, this is all Ausmus's fault. This is like, let's end this charade and move on. Does the manager really
lose you games and really win you games? He might win you 5 games out of the course of a year.
I'm waiting for those 5. I'm still waiting for those.
I agree with you. I don't think he's a plus. I don't think he's a plus manager. I don't think he's a Joe Madden. I don't think he's a Bruce Bochy. I think those 2 guys right there are probably the best in all of baseball. I think they're incredible. I don't think he's a plus manager. And I get put in this uncomfortable position where it seems like I'm defending him, and I think he's the best guy for the job. I don't. I absolutely don't. But I hate hearing that it's all his fault and he needs to be fired. He's not the one who's strapping on the cleats and going out there trying to round the bases. And he's not the one who's sitting there pitching, whether it be from the starting spot or from the bullpen. It's not him. He's only working with the pieces he has. So I'm tired of hearing how it's Ausmus's fault. You're absolutely right. He does a lot of things that we both look back on and we question. The thing is, you've got to look at the situation and you've got to sit there and manage along with the guy. Like, I was watching the Verlander game, and I was like, I would absolutely leave Verlander in this spot.
I disagree.
I was sitting there and I was like, I wonder how many people are going to, when this blows up, because it had the markings that it was going to blow up.
Well, how?
Because you could just see, like, Verlander, honestly, Verlander.
You could see that Verlander was fading,
but
you could see it?
Verlander looked tired. All right.
He looked tired?
Listen.
How do you know that?
Because you can tell by the way the guy's pitching. All right?
You could tell that the way he was pitching that he looked tired.
But I told you, you have to go out there and you have to talk to your ace. Your ace says he wants the ball and he wants to do this. You've got to trust him to do it.
And you as the manager have to be the smart one and go, you know what? I see that he's tired. You see that he's tired.
You've got to roll with your guy. You've got to roll with your guy.
Nope.
You've got to sit there and you've got, honestly, what the hell does a game on May 29th, May 30th even mean in the grand scheme of things? What does it mean?
It means that you have a ball
club. Can I get
club.
a dial tone? Can I get a dial tone?
No,
What does
you
it
don't.
mean? What does it mean in the grand scheme of things?
It means that you're making another decision that costs you a game. And if the Tigers go on to lose,
Who are you going to go to? Who are you going to go to?
That's
Who
even,
do you want to go to then?
go to your closer.
You're going to go to K-Rod.
In the eighth inning.
Mr. Zika virus.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh yeah, no, I don't. But that would explain why
Go to K-Rod.
early on in the season he wasn't around and he was struggling with some issues. So yeah, because he said he was sick for about 2 months there.
See, the manager has to be the boss. And of course you don't want Verlander just to hand him the ball and walk off. You want him to be a little bit fiery. But the strong managers know and they see what's going to happen.
I would have trusted my ace. Verlander says he wants it. He was rocking and rolling through 7 1/3 innings. He wants the ball. You give him the damn ball. You have a pitch count on him. You know when he gets somewhere near 120, he's done. He was at like 106. You're going to give him the ball, and you're going to let him sit there and try to figure out the next 14 pitches.
If this is 25 to 27-year-old Verlander, hell, then you could say let him roll out to 125. But this is an older Verlander. And you're also saying, what does a game mean? Hey, he rolls out to 130 pitches, and he's like the big dog on campus. Now we roll to September, and it's a game versus Chicago where we need to have some implications.
132. I said 120.
Hey, 120. Now his arm is tired in September, and he gets shelled. Now you may be back into the playoffs with your formula, and hey, we get to the wild card. Now he's the guy that's pegged. It's his turn, and he goes out there and gets shelled because he's tired. You have to also manage, not only for today, you have to also manage potentially for the future. I think with an older staff, you need to kind of manage it in a way to not only manage it for now, but save their arms should, the skies open up and you have some success later in the season. So that's why he needs to go out there, yank the ball from Verlander, go to somebody else. And yes, when people defend Ausmus, they can say, hey, he went to Wilson, it didn't go up. You could have went to Alex Wilson. He's kind of eaten up some innings and he's done well. You could have went to K-Rod. But in the end, you realize now that when Ausmus goes to low, you got to worry. When Ausmus goes to, 92 mile an hour South Pole, it's awful. And now you got to realize, yes, it's not all his fault, but you can't hate on the people that say it's time to make a change. Change is going to happen. It's inevitable, whether it be the trade deadline, the All-Star break, the end of the season. This team will not look like this in 2017. It's a fact, and we're just waiting, and you're just debating what the fans are truly saying and are correct. This team isn't it. It doesn't have it. It's not going to be successful. And I don't blame them for blowing off steam. They want to see changes now because with the right formula, if you get this offense rolling with some pitchers, and if you kind of fine tune and maybe add 1 or 2 pitchers, 1 or 2 bullpen guys, and hey, maybe not score 6 runs a game, but score 4, only give up 1. This team's going to make a move. It's obvious. It's going to be, when we say sell, when people say sell, I think you're thinking all in one season. And you make a great point. There are not going to be 5 moves made at the trade deadline. It's not going to be 5. So I agreed with what you said last week. And I said, I think when people say sell, that what they're really saying in code is the window's closed. It's time to retool everything and start with a new team, a new philosophy, less payroll. So I think you're getting upset on the wrong thing. When you say sell, listen, if it's just one guy, if you just move JD for a starter and a bullpen guy, I'm happy. That's selling. That's making a move. That's changing the vibe up. If you trade a Kinsler, even for a guy that, is serviceable with a whip of 1.2, it's better than the guys you got now that are scary. So when you say sell, don't get caught up in the fact that we're saying, trade everybody. We're saying it's time to rebuild this thing, and big picture wise, this is not a team that nobody's happy with, and obviously not because of the fact they're playing terrible and the way they're losing games is horrible. That series versus Oakland is a little bit eye-opening because you should go out there and win 2 out of 3. This series now versus the Angels, I know we always struggle against them, but you can't play like that. You can't continue to. When is Ausmus going to say, Sanchez is out of the rotation. How many more chances do you give? See, I believe people are frustrated because you want to give Sanchez more chances. Fine, I can agree with that. But now you've seen 4 to 5 starts that have been brutal. A creative manager would have now said, okay, I'm not going to play this wait game, the season's long game. Put his ass in the bullpen, bring up a young guy, and roll with that. And that's why people are upset, because there's not any creative moves. What he's doing is going, I see the formula shit. I'm just going to hope for a new day and that the guys are going to come around and it's not going to be shit in the future. All right, I'm going to tell you now, this formula, come September, August, is going to be shit. They're not going to roll around and just find a magic potion with this lineup as is. Changes will be made. I like what Tony Paul said. Pelfrey, Sanchez to the bullpen, bring up Boyd, bring up Fulmer, keep them in the rotation, bring up Norris, and roll with that. You're going to lose 5 or 6 with them. Might as well do it with young guys, get them experience. That's all.
Here's the deal. Sticking with that, Sanchez has to go down to the minors. And Pelfrey, I don't know what you want to do with him. I don't like him. He's a dumpster fire, all right? He can't win games. He doesn't even give you a shot to win games most of the time. All right, Fulmer looks like the real deal, all right? Slot him in as your number 3. You got Green coming back. He can be your number 4. Boyd can be your number 5 if you want. If Norris is healthy, because Norris has looked better his last 3 starts than he has his previous, 5 starts? He looked very rough early on there. If Norris can come back and looks like he's found something and he's in a groove, fine, put Norris in there. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you can't pitch Sanchez again, and you can't keep pitching Pelfrey because you're not giving your guys a shot to win. You're just not.
So what's taking so long?
I think what has happened after Tuesday night's game, he realized that Sanchez is done. He's got nothing else, right? Can't do anything else with it. You got a guy up here like Michael Fulmer who, like I said, looks like he's the real deal. He really does look really good. That outing against Oakland was beautiful. I mean, the guy pitched his ass off. He looked great. Boyd's outing, he looked pretty solid. He didn't look great, but it wasn't any great shakes, but he looked okay. I mean, he's a 5th starter. I mean, that's kind of what you want from a 5th starter. He's going to give you 5-6 innings. It'll be a little up and down. It'll be a little bit of a mix, but he's going to give you a shot to win. You had a shot to win that game. You didn't do it. Shane Green, he's going to come back. I think he'll be okay. You can slot him in as your 3rd or your 4th starter. It doesn't matter. Get these guys in there and go with them. If Daniel Norris proves something and you can bring him up and he's going to make an immediate impact in the starting rotation, do it. But I think Sanchez has to be moved to the bullpen after a DL stint down in the minors because he's got to find some confidence. He's missing with his ball location. I mean, all he's doing is going up there and he's basically throwing batting practice, And Pelfrey, I don't know what you want to do with Pelfrey. That's like setting $8 million and watching it burn. It was a dumb signing. I never liked it. And these guys apparently don't even get up to play for him because they can't give him any run support. So that's dumb. I just get rid of Pelfrey, whatever you got to do. Send him to, if you want, make him be a long reliever for you. I don't care. I absolutely don't care. But the way you're making it sound, through roughly 50-some games, Ausmus is the biggest reason that they're in this situation.
I believe so. I believe a shakeup would hold everybody accountable, and I do believe they would play, even if it's 5% better.
So you want Gino?
I would take him for, I mean, he's the.
You want Gino, eh?
I would say he'd be a stabilizing force with experience. You probably get the same performance. They're going to end up 83 to 84 wins with whoever. With whoever. They're going to end up with 83 to 84 wins with whoever. And so it might as well be Gene Lamont. But here's the big picture with Ausmus. And it doesn't mean when I go, it's time to fire Ausmus, that I'm looking at his decisions that he made in a game in the middle of May. What I'm looking for is when I see Ausmus, I go, okay, if this is Game 5 of the World Series and it's time to make a decision, is it time to bring in a K-Rod, hell, in the 6th inning if you need to get outs in a clinching game? Do you do that? Does he have the ability to make moves that are creative outside the box? I go to myself, I go, oh, wow, if this is Game 7 of the World Series and it's 0-0 in the 8th inning and Verlander's sitting there yelling and screaming at him, he's just going to turn around and Verlander will give up that key single or double, and we lose the game 1-0 in the end of the World Series. So when I'm looking at it as every decision that he makes, tie that into what he would do in a critical moment, all of it comes up that he would be outmatched and he would be in a situation where he wouldn't make the right choice and the Tigers would end up on the losing end of the stick. Now, is Gene Lamont a better option? No. Is Omar Vizquel a better option? No. But my opinion is Brett Ausmus isn't the option. So if he's not the option, I'm a guy that goes, okay, the moment in my mind where you can't win the World Series I'm out. So whenever that moment is for you, you can still roll with it. That's fine. I'm not wrong. The moment was for me when they first hired him.
How many managers win the World Series every year?
One.
Exactly.
But do you believe Brad Ausmus in the future ever will win the World Series? No. I look at Brad Ausmus and I go to myself, my club managed by Brad Ausmus. Do I ever see that picture? I close my eyes. I make an imaginatory dream. Is Brad Ausmus the guy holding the trophy? No, it's not him. He won't be the guy. Ever. He'll never win a World Series.
Do you think that Jim Leyland was going to win the World Series here?
I thought the 06 team was a surprise. I thought the 2012 team was the biggest waste ever. That team was favored. The week off hurt them. The offense went cold, but that team was better than the Giants. The 06 team was out of the blue, and you played one of the greatest managers of all time in Tony La Russa. I didn't think they would win that series. The 12 season, I thought we had a legitimate chance because of when it looked on paper.
How'd that work out for you?
It didn't work out.
Exactly.
But
so what I'm saying is,
but I could picture Jim Leyland win the World
Series. What I'm saying, your opinions don't matter.
They matter. They matter a lot.
That's all I'm saying. They don't matter.
Hey, as long as someone parrots it,
you know what
I'm
opinions.
happy.
You know what opinions are like, right?
What are they like?
It's like your beehole, bro. Everybody's got one. They all stink.
Yeah, but at least
I've been sitting here smelling yours now for 147 episodes, bro.
But I believe my opinions can also be repeatable. So and they're debatable, and I'm giving you my reasons. And that's what people do.
Look,
they give their opinions.
Here's the thing. Over the course of the 50 some odd games here, this pitching staff has done this team absolutely no favors. And if you look at the way this pitching staff, when it performs, this team wins. When it doesn't perform, this team loses. And that plays right into the starting rotation shakeup and the bullpen shakeup. If you sit there and you insert some good young talent like a Michael Fulmer, a Matt Boyd, Shane Green comes back and he can deliver for you. All right. All of a sudden, your starting rotation looks 10 times better than it looked before because you're getting absolutely nothing but L's out of Sanchez and Pelfrey. Send Sanchez down, let him do a minor league stint, let him get some confidence back, let him figure out what he's doing wrong, bring him back up. You now have a long reliever. So when Matt Boyd can only sit there and give you 5 innings, you can go to Sanchez and he can give you maybe 2, 3 because he's only going to see the lineup once, maybe twice, because you know he struggles after he sees it, after he gets seen 2 or 3 times. Pelfrey, if you want, you can throw him into the bullpen. He did it before. He could do it again, right? If you don't want to set $8 million on fire and you want to DFA him, throw him in the bullpen. Who cares? It doesn't matter, all right? But you do. You have young talent. You have young arms. Bring them up. Let's get them some usage here. Mark Lowe, I don't know what you're going to do with that guy. Honestly, looking at this bullpen, I'm going to give you some numbers here. 549, 711, 779, 1080.
Oh, no!
That's your ERA for the guys in your bullpen.
Yeah.
That's Alex Wilson, Drew Verhagen, Mark Lowe, and Warwick Suckhold. I mean, that's
Warwick.
Whatever. That's what you're dealing with right now. Honestly, as a unit, and that's because Matt Boyd shined the one game he played, and Shane Green shined the one game that he sat there and worked out, and Daniel Norris as well. These guys all sat there and they all posted a 0 ERA, so it brings this number dramatically down, much lower than what it should be, because right now, your ERA as a unit is over 4 3/4. It's unbelievable the way this bullpen has performed. So you strengthen your starting rotation, move some guys to your bullpen. I think instantly this team is much better. And I think those bats will come alive. I mean, we talked about it earlier this year. Miguel Cabrera basically got hot out of nowhere. And everybody else started tooling around too, and they all got hot. And it's just going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those lineups that hits in streaks and doesn't hit in streaks. You just got to hope that your pitching is good enough to be able to survive the times that they're not pitching well. And that's what you got to do.
So I'm sitting with relaxing Rick. He's like, hey, make some of these moves. They're not going to make them. These guys are patient. The Tigers, Brad Ausmus.
Relaxing Rick. Is that my new name?
That's what you're saying. You're saying like, hey, it's only 50, 60 games. You know,
there was nothing relaxing about my first 10 minutes of this show.
No, you're upset with the fans who are upset because of what they're watching. You're like, oh, we can't say
I'm
stuff.
upset with it too.
You should be upset.
I honestly,
the last sentence that you said,
I take my time to sit there and watch these games, sit there, break things down. I talk to people on Twitter. I sit there, I do all this for you people.
Exactly.
And with the Tigers.
And all
you
said was,
and yes, I agree. The Tigers are struggling.
You made it,
but they're not as bad as everybody makes them out to be.
They're worse.
I don't think they're not.
They're worse. You made it. The last sentence you said.
We talked about the AL Central. Do you see a legit threat in the AL Central to this team right now?
Every team.
Every
the Tigers suck. And so
I can't even talk to you.
no, the last sentence you said was making changes.
The Twins are garbage. The Twins are garbage.
So are the Tigers.
Are a garbage team.
So are the Tigers.
They are not. They are not. They can sit there. They can hang with the Kansas City. They can beat Chicago.
No, they can't.
They haven't proved that they can beat Cleveland. But they can beat the two teams who are 1 and 2 in this division right now.
No, they can't.
Yes, they can.
You just rattled off some changes.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
I do know.
Talk to me after June what, 4th?
I will. I will definitely talk to you.
Talk to me after June 4th when they take on the White Sox. Then let me know. Because I believe they can beat Kansas City. I believe they can beat Chicago. I don't know why they can't. Why Cleveland's their kryptonite. And Minnesota, they instantly get healthy against. So they have a legit possibility to win the Central. All they've got to do is win the Central. That's all you've got to do.
You rattled off a list of some changes they should make.
Yes.
And the reason why fans are upset is they haven't done it. So if they make some of those moves and it's successful, hell, if they get swept by the Angels and they lose that 1-game stint versus the Yankees, then maybe they'll make a move for the White Sox series. But everyone's like, make some moves, do something to be proactive. The Tigers seem to be a reactive team, and that's why they're sitting where they are. So go out there and be proactive. Hell, do it right now. Maybe even make Sanchez your setup guy and give it a chance. Be proactive. Do something different. Upton hits a home run now every 100 at-bats. Okay, sit him down. Do something different. Do something where you go, okay, this is an attempt to mix up the flow. Do something drastic. This team needs drastic moves. And you say, does anybody scare you? The one team that scares me is the Tigers because they go out there on the road versus Oakland and they lay a dud. And so now you're in a situation where we thought they fixed the pitching situation and it looks to be worse than ever before. So everyone's panicking, and that's why everyone's angry every game.
I believe you can tweak it, and it's going to improve dramatically. I believe you sit there, you infuse the young arms, and you move Sanchez and Pelfrey out. I think instantly your starting rotation and your bullpen become that much better.
Let's see what moves they make. Yes, make some moves, and hell, even be drastic, right? Right at this point in time, Ian Kinsler, hottest player ever, look to move him. Take the call. See what happens. Take the calls.
Look to move him.
Look to move him. Look to move Kinsler. Look to do everything. There's nobody on this team right now that's untouchable. Nobody. Nobody's untouchable. The phone rings, I'm taking it. The phone rings, I'm looking at what offer is available. So maybe I'm probably sure they are.
You always take the call.
Take the call.
We've talked about this before.
Take the call.
General managing 101. You always take the call. You see what the value of your player is currently.
Okay,
doesn't mean you actually sit there and you go through with it.
Before we take a break and before we do Docs in session, if there's one guy that's not going to be on the team by the trade deadline, who would it be? If there's one guy you think that could be moved and a deal could be worked out that would be fair, one guy, who would it be?
Well, I would think Pelfrey wouldn't be here, but I see that guy being DFA'd. One guy who's got some value that you can get something for.
That you wouldn't die that left.
I could see Cameron Maben, if he stays hot, he could be a guy that could be moved because you can fill center field. You can fill that. And what he gives you is he gives you some speed on the base path, and he can hit the ball timely. So you can get that out of, I don't know, any other number of players.
Beautiful. Fucking move Cameron Maben. Make a move is all we're asking. Change it up. Doc and Jock, episode 147, Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Doc and Jock here for Fanatic U. If you're looking for some sweet sports swag and you love your Detroit teams, and I mean you really love your Detroit teams, you got to check out fanaticu.com and get the coolest gear out there and rock your Red Wings shirt, rock your Lions shirt, rock your Piston apparel. Wear it till the wheels fall off. Michigan State, you know what? They got it too. Check out Fanatic U. They have 6 locations all over Metro Detroit. Check them out, fanaticu.com.
Yeah, we coming now. Come on. Yeah, that's right. We put it down. It's like a family in here, just a little disabled. Putting it down, we lay them out on the table. Yeah. Who's in the house? The brothers in the house. Gotta turn it on out, let you know what we about. Kinda like Cain and Abel, a bit unstable. Don't be breaking the brain, break the whole damn table.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Doc and Jock coming back after the holiday. So before we do Doctors in Session, first time ever, we've been doing this podcast about 2.5 years, going on 3. First time with the practice and stuff, I've had voice issues. I don't know if you can hear it. Basically,
it just kind of
kicked it out
for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having voice issues. Luckily, we didn't do a whole lot of podcasts over the Memorial Day situation, but I've never really taken care of my voice. Never did like the tea thing or took care of it. What do you do to kind of take care of it, being that you're a professional in the field? Do I drink more water? Or I know I'm talking a lot in session. I'm doing a lot of podcasts, but this is the first time where in a stretch of time over 2 or 3 days, my voice got affected.
Warm tea helps, especially when you're talking. Like right now, you're about to drink some nice ice cold lemon water. Not good for the vocal cords because it numbs them. Generally, you want to drink something warm to keep those nice and lubricated. I do a lot of, because sometimes even I'll sit there and I'll struggle with certain words. I talk really fast sometimes.
I struggle with all the words.
Yeah, I struggle with a lot of them. So I talk really fast sometimes, especially when I get going. And I sit there and my lips don't move fast enough. So I try to do a lot of mouth exercises. I do I'll sit there and I'll do like just different things, like about, above, according to, across, after, against, around, among, or I'll do read the right book at the right time, just to sit there, do like word alliterations, just to sit there and make my mouth move, or how now, brown cow, just different things like that. I'll do those things repetitively, usually before a show, and I'll try to sit there and stretch out my jaw a little bit, so when I talk, I don't sit there and stumble over my words. But otherwise, I've never had my voice actually go like yours is kind of going, but warm tea usually helps soothe that. Little bit of honey as well, because it'll help coat your throat, so do that. That'll help you out.
Gotcha. So no water before the show, and do the warm tea action.
Yes, just warmer fluids, because it helps keep the vocal cords nice and loose.
See, the interesting part is I kind of like my voice a little bit deeper, a little bit more raspy, a little more raspy. So I'm like, oh, I kind of like the way it sounds in the cans, and the way my video sound.
You can just start smoking.
That's true.
Just ask Vinny for a cigarette, dude.
Okay.
Just rip the filter off.
Well, dude, I was like, oh man,
you'll get cancer, but whatever.
I was like, man, my voice sounds a little bit better when I'm sick. Oh, well, whatever. I feel great. Still rolling along, doing this podcast every week since September 2013. You know it's Thursday because Doc and Jock have brought a product that you all want to listen to. All right, this is the Doctor's in session. I know that Jock's been strongly waiting all week to drop some great questions for me to answer. So this is the Doctor is in session.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here. I'm the man. Woo! Bada boom, realest guys in the room. How you doing?
I absolutely love that drop.
Enzo has to make the mix, so why not?
I love that drop. All right, so I need the King of the Couch's opinions. I've been waiting all week for these. So you called it last week in our pre-show meeting where we were sitting there discussing Oklahoma and Golden State and what was going to happen in the NBA Finals. Golden State, you said, would go on and win in Game 7. You said that they would sit there and win Game 5. They'd go on and win Game 6, and they'd wrap it all up in Game 7. So Golden State will now host the Cleveland Cavaliers for the NBA Finals. Who do you want to win? And in your expert opinion, who will win? So a little two-sided question there.
Perfect. I want Golden State to win. Obviously, there's a connection there with Draymond Green, followed his career. This is a guy that's a glue guy, and this is a guy that's emerging as a really strong leader on that team. Now, yes, I did think that Golden State would go on and carry the torch for the Western Conference, and I believe that because of the experience, and you have to show that you can get over the hump. So Russell Westbrook, KD are guys that are, inching closer and closer. And going into Game 7, I thought they would keep it a little bit closer than it actually was. But I thought that Golden State, with their experience, would go on and win and represent the West. KD's got to make a decision, and we'll see what happens with that.
Were you surprised at how they fell apart as that game unfolded in the third and fourth quarter? Because it started to seem like there was a lot of infighting and finger pointing and, hey, you were supposed to get that guy. What are you doing? You're not doing your job. I'm doing mine. What's going on? Were you surprised by any of that?
When you look at their roster, you go, who's that guy that's going to make the key shot? Is it going to be KD? You thought they go to him more. Is it going to be Westbrook? He reverted back to the guy that was making some bad choices. You needed a Ray Allen. You needed a guy that would, kind of seal the deal. Calming veteran. You needed that guy. Oklahoma City's a young team. So they got a nice future if KD stays there. I'm not sure he's going to. I do maybe think that he'll sign a one-year deal and give it a go one more time before the NBA gets a huge infusion of money. So I think they got one more crack at it. I was not surprised. I think when you look at what happened in Game 6, it could easily happen in Game 7. Westbrook is a guy that needs to kind of grow up and needs to kind of move towards being a facilitator in the crunch situations. He kind of reverted back to a guy that made a bunch of mistakes. He was great, Westbrook. The first 5 games, 6 and 7, were terrible. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what we were looking at. It was, hey, that's why we love sports. When the crunch time hits, the big pressure moments are there. What happens? Hey, the cream rises to the top, and that's why Golden State is right there, sitting, 4 games away from taking a title. What's going to happen in this series? Let's just all hope as NBA fans it goes 7. Let's hope that it's the series that we all kind of wanted. This year is different than last year in that you got Kevin Love healthy, you got Kyrie Irving healthy, you got LeBron healthy, so you got the best of Cleveland versus the best of Golden State. Golden State's a little bit better on defense than Cleveland. Cleveland gives up a lot of three-pointers, a lot. And when you looked at the games that they lost, the guards were able to kind of do whatever they wanted. Kyrie Irving is a guy that's not known for defense. So I'm looking at Steph Curry. I'm looking at Klay Thompson. They're going to be able to get off. I don't see a situation where how are you going to limit pick your poison. So in the games where, Golden State's going to struggle, I believe it'll be in Cleveland. I don't see a team winning on the road, maybe all the way through the series. Cleveland has a chance game 1. Their biggest chance is game 1 because Golden State's coming off of that tough series. So if Cleveland can get game 1, they got a huge edge. But you got to remember now, this is not 2-3-2 anymore. 2-2, 1-1-1. So it favors Golden State all the way. I really believe at the end of the day, let's just say, fast forward to game 7, is LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie going to bring it that game? I don't know. I don't think so. My money would be on Golden State to take it in 7 games because of the fact that they know how to do it in crunch time. Crunch time moments. These are going to be great games. Cleveland's going to have a lot of emotion. They'll come out strong at home in front of their rabid fans. Golden State's going to play strong at home. Look at their record. It's going to be a great series, and this is a series where you could kind of lay low the first half if you're going to, if you have to do stuff, but definitely tune in quarters 3 and 4. I won't miss probably a minute of quarters 3 and 4. First half, you can kind of, they'll test each other out, ebb and flow. There'll be runs back and forth. Money time, fourth quarter. Who are you going to go to? Guys that can shoot. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. Hell, Andre Iguodala can be a guy that steps up. Hell, even Verjao might step up. There'll be some unsung heroes. Who will it be? I favor Golden State, so my money's on Golden State, 7 games strong, and I would love to see LeBron lose again in the finals. That'd be awesome.
3 ball is going to be very important in that series for both teams. All right, so under Bob Quinn, things have changed quite a bit. OTAs are no longer open. You don't get as much access if you are a media member. So rumors and speculation are that Taylor Decker will be the Lions' starting left tackle when the Lions open the season at Indianapolis on September 11th. How impactful do you think his addition to the O-line will be in the left tackle spots?
Every offensive lineman, there's very few that come in and just dominate right away. But he's got some skill sets that we all can agree upon will be helpful to this team. I believe that he might have some struggles in the passing game in terms of, if the Lions are going to do, 5-step drops, 7-step drops in terms of maintaining his protections and things like that. But in the run game, if he's in there predominantly when Amir Abdullah comes back and you got your guys there in the running back core, I think he'll be effective. I do believe that you can open up some holes. Number one job of a left tackle, make sure that Stafford's on his ass less. That's the number one goal. I do believe that will occur. Riley Reif was just overmatched at that position. Look at what happened. Everyone in the organization, every time Stafford steps back, is like, oh boy, here we go. Let's just not get him killed. And he was getting sacked at too high a clip. So if he starts there at left tackle, I do believe those numbers will go down. Dude is massive. You see his numbers? 6'7". He's a guy that, at Ohio State grew and developed his skills and is a guy that can be a valuable member on the offensive line. I see impact. Can he maintain that spot? Is he going to get abused by some great defensive ends? Of course he's going to be. He's going to have his learning curve. But I really do believe this offense, with what the Lions are going to try to do, are not going to do a whole lot of deep passes. Especially when you look at it, they're going to dink and dunk, take your chances every now and then. And in a situation like that, if you limit his exposure and risk, I do believe he'll come through more than not. He'll have a successful B+ season when he gets graded out. B+.
Factor in that Riley Reif has now moved over to the right tackle spot as well, and he's playing in a contract season, so I expect him to play his pants off. I think this offensive line looks dramatically different and much better.
Does Taylor Decker have to have an A season for the Lions offense to have success, or can you accept a B- B+ range?
I think
a decent grade.
Yeah, I think a B will be fine. I mean, you got to remember, he's a rookie, right? I mean, he comes in, he starts at left tackle, he's going to get a B grade. I think we all take that.
And listen, the running game can't get any worse.
Exactly.
It's like one of those things where he doesn't have to do all that much. If you can just move the running game to 15th in the league, it's going to help this team a lot.
You just got to be average. You're not asking for your guys to be Adrian Peterson out there or Arian Foster in his prime. Just let the running game get to 4 yards a clip. That's all you got to do.
Give Amir a chance, give him some holes. well, let's see what happens. And hell, with the addition of the new guys, in free agency, you could see some more screen game action. You could see some more short game situations. So I do believe this. I mean, just look at the offense from the last 8 games. Efficient and smooth. We were all waiting for, hey, when's this going to slow down? They just moved the ball, and nobody could stop them. And with continuity, I'm satisfied. That's why I got them going. I'm going with, I'm being hopeful, Harry. I'm going to be 10, 11 wins. I do believe that. Not because of the Lions, because of the level of competition. That's all.
Oh, boy.
10. You think I'm set up for disappointment?
Might. You might.
Let's start with 10. Let's be hopeful.
We'll see.
It's June. Let's be hopeful.
When we start previewing the Lions and more stuff comes out from OTAs and some preseason games, we get to witness what's going on.
It'll go down to 7 by the 2 games for sure.
We'll talk. All right, so Gary Bettman said the NHL will have more definitive answers on expansion on June 22nd when the league and team officials meet in Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on the NHL and the possibility of expansion?
Isn't it all but certain? I mean, everything's in place. They got investors. I see people tweeting all the time. I see, drawings and sketches of potential arenas in Las Vegas. So I believe it's going to happen. But should it happen? Should they vote on expansion? No. I really believe the NHL should vote at restriction, contracting some teams. I mean, the NHL, if you just look at it top to bottom, you've talked about it, I've talked about it. We all look at it and go, man, that's the worst mismanaged organization ever. You mean starting with the fact that you got to search your, cable provider to find these games. There's
Dude,
no
you got
way.
16 teams in one league, in one division, and you've got 14 in another. Who does that?
Exactly.
Which league in their right mind does that? Baseball used to do that, and now they've moved Houston over to the American League. Who does this?
Listen,
Only the NHL.
I didn't even peek into Game 1, Pittsburgh, San Jose. Was it on NBC or was it on cable?
It was on NBC. That was something.
Hey,
else.
good.
No, that's dumb. Because
NBC, not bad.
No. They're going to play the first 2 games on NBC, and then they're going to send you trolling for the next, if it does go to 7 games, the next 5 games, you got to find it on NBCSN, which cuts your profits in half. Because you got to remember, if you're a TV company, you make your profits through advertising. So you get NBC, which everybody and their grandmother has, and you're going to see the first 2 games. But you get less revenue over the course of, if it does go 7, over the next 5 games when it's on NBCSN, because some people don't even have that channel or, like you said, nowhere to find it. It's the most ass-backwards plan ever by an organization. I just don't get it.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like I said,
I did check it out, though. It was a good game.
Was it good? Yeah, if you're a hockey snob and you're
that
into
night
it?
I was flipping through like 9 different shows.
That was a great night, right?
It was crazy.
Yeah,
Absolutely
Monday.
crazy.
Monday was crazy.
You had John Cena's return, and you had
Everything.
the Tigers,
Game
and
7.
Verlander, and
That was a nice night for sports.
Sing Say or whatever the hell the guy's name was in Los Angeles there, pitching almost no-hitters. Yes, it was a great night for sports. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm not tuned in at all to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Pittsburgh, San Jose, please give me a break. But, sports fans will be able to find it. But here's the thing. You don't have a relationship with ESPN. I mean, come on now. On some night you could watch a spelling bee on ESPN. They would rather put that on. And actually, if you probably look at it, the ratings for the spelling bee are higher than the ratings for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. So Gary Bettman has a major PR problem. And, when the cup is presented, he'll get loudly booed. But a lot of his decisions haven't really progressed the game. Yeah, the salary cap is inching ever so closer higher. But I don't know if you look at the profitability of a lot of these clubs, it doesn't look good. So I think it's better for the league to constrict, have talents kind of spread around to lesser teams, and you'll have even more of a competitive league. But what he's done is just, basically his tenure has been an epic failure. Not good for the league. Expanding? You're going to water down the league even more? I disagree totally. The owners need to relook at what's going on with the game, and they'll make more money with new leadership, period.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I don't think expanding is a smart thing to do. Now with the NHL, the product's already kind of watered down because just the talent's not necessarily there. I don't like expanding. I don't like the fact that there's not a team in Quebec. It makes absolutely no sense. You've got a team out in the desert in Arizona, and they don't even want them there. So, I mean, if you're going to look to move a team to Las Vegas, because that's been talked about, and I've seen the stadium where they want to put them, it's like right in the middle of everything. It's great. Nice little location.
You know what I could go with and continue, though?
You could move Arizona to Las Vegas if you want.
You know what I could tolerate a little bit more of? No Canadian teams in the playoffs. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's
it's unheard of, but talk about awful for the game. Wasn't Canada kind of big or wasn't hockey big in Canada a while back? Not no more. They don't even make the playoffs. Not right. Am I right? Not one team.
Not
from
one
Canada
team made the playoffs this year.
Bada boom, man. Keep it like that.
Mm-hmm. You hate the Canadians, eh?
I love the Red Wings. I want them to do well.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Another great round of Doxton session. King of the couch over there. We've got an interesting what would be worse coming up next. So after this break, stay tuned. And basically, we're going to sit there and put a gun to your head and force you to pick something that's going to make you want to throw up on yourself and then lick it off, because that's how bad this is.
Doc and Jock, episode 147. You're listening to the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And you can't teach that.
I want to tell everyone out there about DetroitSportsNation.com. They're a great website, and they've been very supportive to all the shows on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. They host all the podcasts. They have great writers that cover all the Detroit teams, all the college teams. Check out their website and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. The collaboration has been excellent, and it's helped us to continue to grow and have great guests take phone calls. So our collaboration with the Detroit Sports Nation has really been successful, and support those who support us. DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, rolling right along here, final segment here on the podcast. And it actually came about because Adam does, from time to time, the weekly WXYZ web show. Definitely check it out on our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Several of his appearances have been archived, and you can see all the debate and fun banter between Adam and Justin Rose on the weekly web chat Mondays. And it came about because Justin loves him some Pittsburgh, and now it's an overdrive. So every time I see an NHL game with Pittsburgh in it, I go, oh, well, I wonder what Justin's going with. And then you have the NBA. You got the NBA Finals now set to start tonight when this podcast airs. And you got LeBron and the Cavs versus Golden State looking to repeat. So I was just thinking, you know what? As Detroit fans, I wonder if you're going to tune in. Are you going to pay attention and watch the NBA Finals, watch the NHL Finals all the way through? And I wonder what you would hate more, to see LeBron in Cleveland hoist the NBA trophy, ending the title drought for that city over there in Cleveland, or would you hate more as a fan of Detroit sports seeing I can't even say it, seeing the Pittsburgh Penguins win a cup, seeing Sidney Crosby
in his dirt stash
get up there and parade around, skate around the rink with the Stanley Cup? What would you hate more?
Both of them make me sick to my stomach. Different reasons. Well, maybe not different reasons. I absolutely hate LeBron, and I absolutely hate Sid the Kid. I think the thing is that counter to both of those guys in both of their stories, there are great stories that run counter to them. So if they lose, there are better stories that are running alongside them. And I always like the story, especially in sports. The story is great. If Golden State wins, it totally validates their 73 wins. We can have that discussion of which team would be better, Michael Jordan's 72-win Chicago Bulls team or Golden State's 73-team win. If they lose the title, I think it diminishes what they did during the regular season. And also it props LeBron up, and you've got to hear about how LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time. You don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Everybody hates that. Now, with the Penguins, if Pittsburgh wins, everybody in Detroit just instantly feels sick to their stomach. Nobody likes this, right? But if San Jose wins, a guy like Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, guys who sit there and score tons of points during the regular season, but have yet to sniff a Stanley Cup Finals, win one, that's incredible. On top of it, this is San Jose's first time in 25 years of their existence that they've ever made it to the Stanley Cup. So on top of that, you factor in the storyline that they just brought in a brand new coach. There was so much turnover in their front office last year, and they basically went from not making the playoffs to now winning a Stanley Cup, which, again, another great story. And you got a goaltender that you basically got out of nowhere, and he stood on his head at numerous points. You got a guy like Joel Pavelski, who isn't talked about nearly enough. The only person who scored more points than him in I believe, the last 2 or 3 seasons is Alex Ovechkin. I mean, the guy's amazing. So I think there's great stories that run totally counter to both of these teams, which makes this incredibly difficult to choose. You basically want, if you're rooting for the story, you want Golden State and you want San Jose to win.
Exactly.
That's what you want, because their storylines are so integrated into the fabric of sports in where they're at today and what they mean for the future of their programs and what they mean for the past with their teams and in league history.
That's what I said. Exactly.
Which is, I guess, more important than
all right,
whether or not.
What would eat at your craw more? LeBron or Pittsburgh if they win it all? What would piss you off more?
We talked about this a little bit through text message the other night too. And I sat there, I slept on it, I thought about it because it's a really tough question, man. This was a great question that you posed to me. I'm gonna have to say if LeBron wins, I couldn't stand that more. I could stomach Sid the Kid winning more than I could LeBron, because if LeBron wins, he will be all over ESPN. You will see all that is talked about with LeBron James. You'll have to hear about how Cleveland is this, that, the other thing. I love that Cleveland is an absolute dumpster fire and doesn't win anything. I love that Cleveland is garbage. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. You know what I'm saying? So if LeBron brings a title there, you got to hear about that. You also got to sit there and you got to see Dan Gilbert's goofy little face that's buying up all the property in Detroit so he can have his own little Quicken Loans town. You got to see all that stuff. You got to see him. He's got his little jerseys, his little kid's jersey. I can't handle that. I'd much rather see, I guess, if I had to pick one, Sidney Crosby skate around with the Stanley Cup again, because that team has done, there's a story there as well. They've done a great thing, basically sitting there and struggling early on in the season. They blow out their head coach, bring in a new coach, and next thing you know, this team catches fire and they rock and roll all the way into the finals. So if he has to hoist the Stanley Cup again, I can stomach it. I don't want it to happen, but I could deal with it.
Oh, I would hate to see Pittsburgh. Obviously, yeah. You know, Sidney Crosby's a crybaby. A lot of our Twitter followers definitely were vocal when I posed the question on the Twitter poll at Detroit Podcast, whether or not what would you hate to see. It was actually pretty evenly voted on in our poll. I'm looking it up right now. You know, the disadvantage of seeing Pittsburgh, is because we have a direct tie to them, as well as with Cleveland. Cleveland eliminated the Pistons. The Penguins took a Stanley Cup from us, a chance for us to go back-to-back. But a lot of people, I would say, still aren't over the whole handshake with Lidstrom. That's really, the handshake is like the classiest thing that the NHL presents, is that after a tough, hard-fought series, you go and you shake the opponent's hand in the line. Is there been any more about that, about why he didn't do it? Is there any more about it?
He just said he got caught up in the moment, and
he's still sticking with that, huh?
Yeah, he got caught up in the moment and didn't realize what was going on. And you got to remember, he was a young player then. I'm not making excuses for him, but he was a young player then, and won his first Stanley Cup as a very young player. So I could see that happening, but still, you know the rules. In every form of hockey, doesn't matter how old you are, what you play, after a playoff series, you always shake hands. In my league, we always shake hands at the end of every game, whether you like the guys or you don't. I had my teeth busted out of my face. Those guys lined up and shook hands. I wasn't there because I was in the emergency room, but whatever. It's what happens.
On our Twitter page, at Detroit Podcast, the poll shook out 54% in favor of the fans of Detroit don't want to see Pittsburgh win the Stanley Cup, to 46% LeBron.
That's pretty close.
It's fairly close.
That's pretty close.
But I would hate to see Pittsburgh. I obviously think I would be pissed off more to see LeBron win it. I agree with you. And so I think that listen, Detroit, we want to kind of see a similar foe struggle, and Cleveland has that same garbage in terms of their sporting teams. So we want that to continue.
Look at it this way too: the NHL is nowhere ever talked about on ESPN. They give Barry Melrose and his sweet hair all of like 2 minutes to discuss anything NHL, and then the rest of it is all basketball, all baseball, and football. They've got like 6 shows dedicated to football throughout the midday. That's what it is. You get 2 minutes for hockey, and then the rest of it, you're inundated with nothing else but every other sport. Even soccer, and like you said, the spelling bee gets more attention. So if LeBron or if Sid the Kid wins, I don't have to hear about it because ESPN is not going to cover it, right? I'll have to hear about it on the NHL network, but whatever. I can deal with that. I can skip over that channel. No big deal. If LeBron wins, you're going to be beat over the head for 3 weeks straight with 24/7 coverage of LeBron and the Cavs.
But don't you think at some point, the fans of Detroit have now a healthy respect for LeBron in the fact that he's kind of matured.
I still hate LeBron.
You still hate him?
I hate LeBron.
It hasn't eased?
No, I can't stand to see him. I hate him. Dude, I used to like LeBron before the decision. Once the decision happened, I think everybody's stomach just turned over and they all threw up a little bit in their mouth. I got you over there breaking things. This is great. So I think everybody just kind of tossed their cookies.
But he was young.
A little bit.
He was young and inexperienced. You don't think at that point he was
No, it doesn't matter, dude. It was so calculated. And it was ridiculous, dude. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And I wish you would sit there and jump off the Cape in Cape Canaveral or just be stuck underneath a rocket ship as it blasts off. Get the heck out of here, bro.
No, I say Detroit would. I think Detroit does have healthy respect for great talents. Yeah, you don't want to see LeBron win it, but hell, it's a good story. I mean, don't you think Cleveland deserves a bone? Just one title, hell, just one.
No,
Nothing.
no.
I
Not.
would hate
No.
to see I'd hate to see Sidney Crosby, just the fact that he's crybaby. He's just one of those guys that
teams I don't ever want to do better than any Detroit teams. Cleveland, any one of their teams, whether it be the Indians, the Browns, the Cavs, whatever. Don't want any of them to ever do better than any Detroit team and the Oakland Raiders. And that's just because Cleveland and Oakland and Detroit are all basically on the same sinking ship all the time. You know, whenever anybody compares anything, it's like, well, which one of these teams is worst in NFL history in regards to this? It's always one of the three. You're like, oh, is that Oakland? It might be Oakland. No, maybe it's Cleveland. Might be Cleveland. No, it's Detroit. It's Detroit this time. You know, they're the triumvirate of awful teams in the NFL. So
You don't think Detroit would respect, the NBA lineage of a team that faces a foe and overcomes that? Look at the Pistons. They always fought Boston, and they overcame them. Then they had to overcome the Lakers. They overcame that to win some titles. And then they became established, won back-to-back titles. Now you got Cleveland, who went up last year against Golden State, undermanned, and still LeBron put up a performance that a lot of people are still talking about to this day, going, hey, he's starting to turn the corner as a guy that can be a leader of a squad. And now you got the two heavyweights going at it pretty much all healthy. So I do believe Detroit fans, of course, they're going to hate it to see LeBron win, but I do believe more people are going to hate seeing Sidney Crosby because they don't respect him. They don't respect a hockey player. What's hockey represent? Grit, fire, like getting hit in the mouth and getting back up. Why does Sidney Crosby have the crybaby moniker? Why are there shirts sold all over town outside of Pittsburgh that have him crying like a baby? Because he gets a little touch on the skate, boom, he goes down, and his hands are all flailing, complaining to the referees, give me that penalty. He's soft. And I don't think nobody views LeBron as being soft.
SWAFT?
SAWFT, baby. That's how people view Sidney Crosby. He's a crybaby. So I think people will hate to see
I totally
a guy like
spelled
that.
that wrong, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
I put the W before the A.
I think a lot of people will hate to see a crybaby get some rewards.
Yeah, I can see that. I could, but I don't want LeBron to win because I don't want to be inundated with LeBron coverage. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't even, you got ESPN sitting there as we build up for the NBA Finals here. You got ESPN out there. You got Ramona Snellenberger or whatever her name is out there, and she's like, "Well, LeBron's doing this." Like, I don't care. I don't care what LeBron does. Let LeBron go away. I don't want to hear about LeBron. I don't like LeBron. I'm tired of LeBron. I would love to see him I just want to see him lose again. I like that he gets there and he gets to sniff it and he gets to kind of almost touch it and then gets taken away from him. I love that.
Well, yeah, they both have already touched it. Sydney's got a cup. LeBron's tasted titles. So, yeah, I would like to see.
But not in Cleveland.
Not in Cleveland.
He had to leave. He had to go away, and he had to do it with the guy who has massive blood clots throughout his body with Chris Bosh, and he had to do it with his buddy D. Wade, who they have a really, 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 really weird relationship.
Should Cleveland lose, it would be great if they lost at home again.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It'd be so great.
Oh, man.
Make me happy.
Man, I know we need some success for, right now what's going on in the world of Detroit sports. A lot of smack talk. Harbaugh, smack talk, and Saban. You got Reggie Jackson.
Which I think is great.
Everyone does, right?
Dude,
everyone loves it.
I hope they both show up to
satellite camps together.
Yes. What is the one in Florida, the big one, IMG?
Mm-hmm.
I hope they both show up there. Oh, man, it'd be great. It'd be like WrestleMania.
And then you got Reggie Jackson kind of with a smirky emoji after OKC lost. You got Andre Drummond kind of retaliating against Drew Sharp, who wrote, just blasted the Pistons. Did you hear what his tagline was?
No.
Pistons will not ever be title contenders with Drummond. So Drummond takes that headline and posts it on his page. So I retweeted it on ours. You can check it out.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, so a lot of beefs going on in the world of Detroit sports. Not a lot of great news in terms of on-the-field stuff, but a lot of off-the-field issues. Fun
Everybody
stuff.
hates everybody, dude. It's great.
That's why I love Twitter.
It's great.
Twitter. Twitter. Love it. You got to check it out. If you're not on it, oh man, lots of drama. Actually, I was surprised. We got a lot of buzz for a 10:05 game for the Tigers Angels. I was happy. And you know what I really like too? I like when fans of ours will just be like, "Hey, I'm at the game," and just shoot out pictures. "Hey, here I'm doing this, doing that." So a lot of interactions last couple of weeks. I've loved it. Every minute of it. It's been good. For one thing though, I do know that the fans of the Tigers, they're still passionate. They want them to win, and they're looking for anything to grasp onto. Hell, if you're going to lose a game, keep it close, man. You're allowed to lose 3-2, but not in the ninth inning. Not to give up walk-offs.
No, not in the ninth inning. Better not lose in the ninth inning, especially after you sit there and you put up a 7 spot and come back after hitting a grand slam. Better not lose.
All right, let's get out of here. Another great podcast, 147 in the books. Thanks for everyone's continued support. DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Subscribe to our many podcasts on iTunes, and every single day when you wake up, your show will be there. Very easy to download. Or check our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Everything you need to know about our network, you can find right there. And definitely, you can find us on the several other platforms that we're on. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I am the Doc, John Macaroon, not lazy, signing off. See y'all later.
Go Tigers. I hate everybody.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I have voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. They talk to me, they tell me things that I will do, they show me things I'll do.